Hello everybody, and welcome to the second grading examination for Excalibur. If you were here the first time during the last video, I did a horrible job during that one, and it was my first examination, and don't mind me dropping that just now. These are my cards. These are my personal cards. I'm not grading these for anybody, but this is something that I plan on improving as I continue to work on this. So if there's ever anything that you guys would like to see me do or things that I can improve upon, just let me know. So like I said before, this is the second card examination that we are doing. This is for Shuckle, the illustration rare from Mega Evolution number 136 by 132. And I'm going to try and do a much better job explaining how this grading process works. So first off, the reason why I decided to start grading cards is because I've noticed that a lot of the grading companies, I had issues with the way that they operate, because I think that grading itself is more of a science rather than an art. And if you're submitting cards to PSA or any of the other grading companies, you want to know that your cards are being graded fairly and that there is a rubric that your cards are judged by, and everybody's cards are judged by that same rubric. There shouldn't be issues of submitting cards, resubmitting cards, and getting different grades. Graders should not be grading more than 60 cards an hour like some of the industry leaders do. And other than that, they also keep the process hidden. And I don't think that that's necessarily right either, because when you take a test in school, you know exactly how that test is going to be graded before you take it. So I think that making the information on how you're graded is important as well, because that shows that there's transparency. And then I thought, why stop there? I'll just record the entire process and upload it to YouTube so people know exactly what the condition is of the card that they might be interested in is, as well as to ensure that their cards are being judged fairly. So at Excalibur, we aim to provide the best quality grading services on the market by having a scientifically backed grading rubric that all cards are judged by, and then also we record all of these and upload them directly to our channel. So with that out of the way, the first thing that we do is we measure centering. And the way that centering works for Excalibur is that we measure things. We don't eyeball stuff. And millimeters is the best way to measure something on this small of scale. So with centering, instead of trying to make sure that the borders are the perfect width of what a Pokemon card should be, we decide, because the printing process is obviously a little bit funky, are the borders of this specific Pokemon card perfectly equal, or how close to being equal are they? So we're looking at the ratios measured in millimeters. So if the left side border on the front of the card is 2 millimeters, we would ideally want the right side of the card to be 2 millimeters also, because that's a perfect ratio. So first we're going to start off by measuring the front of the card, the left to right side borders. And what I have here is millimeter paper, and this will allow us to directly measure the border length in millimeters perfectly. So as you can see, this one is 2.5. Don't be fooled by the shadow there on the edge of the card. I know it's a little bit light, but this is 2.5 millimeters, and we can actually adjust that light source so that it's not as bad over there. But that is 2.5 millimeters on the left hand side, and we're going to scoot this over to the right and also measure the right hand side, and that is also, hold on, 2.5 millimeters. Again, don't be fooled by the shadow there. Let me adjust that light source as well. and you can see that that is 2.5 millimeters. So on the front side, that's perfect ratio, 2.5 by 2.5. And then let's do top to bottom. So we'll just turn that card to the side. And of course, I'm wearing gloves. You should always wear gloves when handling cards. We don't want to mess up the surface or anything like that. So the top border is another 2.5 millimeters. And then we will slide that on down to the bottom. And it's looking like 2.5. So this card on the front has prismatic 10 centering. It is literally perfectly equal within the card. So already off to a great start with this one. And then we are going to flip her over, and we are going to check the back. And already off the top, I can see some things that are a little bit concerning to me with the back of this card here. I'm not sure if you can see it from the camera there, but it looks like there is just a tiny hair. That's unfortunate. I don't know if I can get a good picture of it, but I'll try. And this is something that's unrelated to what we're looking at right now, but there is a well, let's just stay focused and do the borders, and we'll come back to that when we do the surface, because I don't want to get distracted and make this video, this card examination, longer than it needs to be. So back border, you can see that is 3 millimeters. Back left hand border and the back right hand border is 3 millimeters as well. And this card is looking like it's going to get an absolute slam dunk for centering. You know, and you know, with PSA or other grading companies, they allow for 60-40. But if a card is going to be truly labeled as perfect, and in Excalibur's case that is a prismatic, we think that the card should literally be perfect in almost every single way, shape, or form. So the top hand border right here is 1, 2, 3.5, it looks like. Let me just measure the left border again there, just to be sure. I'm just measuring the left border again. Okay, and that is 3. So now we're going to do the bottom border of the card, and that is also looking to be 3, 1, 2, 3.5. So this card already has passed the test for perfect prismatic centering. Which is great. We like to see things like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check the edges. And how we do that is, a lot of people may not know this. Hold on one second. Just 1 second. I just realized I need to turn the ringer down on my phone so noises don't distract or come into the video audio. Hold on 1 second. So Pokemon cards actually have a corner radius of exactly, I believe it is 3.18 millimeters, and that is almost exactly, quite literally almost exactly what this is. This corner radius is cut to exactly 3 millimeters, and the 0.18 millimeters is basically too small to be able to visually identify the difference between by the human eye. So what I just like to do is I like to line this up very accurately and see if those corners basically fit. And if it looks basically identical, you can basically tell that if there is a difference in the corner radius there, then it's beyond what I can tell. So that was the first corner. It was good. Second corner also looks immaculate. I'm going to do the third corner. Okay. Third corner also looks great. And then we are going to just go ahead and do the last corner. And like I said in the previous video, you'll almost never have to worry about the corners not being cut properly. The English TCG has a lot of printing problems. Thankfully, cornering is not necessarily one of the things that you need to worry about. So all 4 corners on that checkout as well. So far, this card is looking amazing in terms of its ability to get a Prismatic 10. So now what we do is we are going to examine the surface of the card. And what I like to do is I like to use a flashlight from my angle. And you guys won't be able to see this as well on the camera up here. But you know, if you have ever examine Pokemon cards, you need to be able to look at them from different angles, because some damage and some marks are much more visible from certain angles than they are other angles. But this card, from the top down perspective, I don't see anything that is causing for concern. The card looks like it's in great condition surface wise. So now we are going to go underneath the microscope, and we are going to scan this card from top to bottom, and we are going to take our time and look at anything that could be damage, dents, dings, rips, tears, anything like that, while also evaluating the hollow pattern. So if you notice this card, this one doesn't have the ridges in it that we looked at yesterday with Lieutenant Surge's bargain. But even regardless, you can still see the very, very fine sort of cells inside this card. They're a little bit more visible inside the light spectrum, I feel like, too. If you just take a look in here, you can kind of see the individual cells. And we're also looking for damage within those cells as well. Misprints, anything like that. So card looks great so far. And then if there's any dust or anything like that that we suspect might be an issue, we just blow that off. Okay. And what we're doing is we're just doing a sweep back and forth, left to right, and then also moving the card down just a bit whenever we finish performing a sweep. So I really do like this card. Shuckle is not a Pokemon that is obviously viable competitively, but the nice thing about Pokemon cards is that because of the artwork, you don't really have to be a competitively viable Pokemon to have an amazing Pokemon card. And even though Shuckle is not my favorite Pokemon, not even near the top of my list, the artwork on this card looks amazing. Okubo did a fantastic job with this. And I'm also reading the text on the card as I scan, because we do not want to, we want to make sure that the misprints also include wrong text. So we're also just looking at the text of the card as we do our simple sweep from left to right. And as you guys can see, everything on this card looks really good. Hollow pattern, the printing, the centering. This one is chef kiss. You feel me? Now we're almost towards the bottom here. Just look at that. Yep. Just taking our time. 30. And then right here at the bottom. Right here at the bottom. Treat. Illustration Okubo. 2025 Pokemon Nintendo Creatures Game Freak. And this card, the front surface of this looks incredible. It looks incredible. There's literally nothing wrong with the surface of the card, and you know it pays because you want to make sure that the customer is having a very proper and thorough examination of the card. And I don't know how you would be able to thoroughly examine a card when you have to do 50 plus card grades an hour. So no shade. Anyway, moving right along, we are now examining the back surface of the card. And like I said before, I think I see something that could possibly be damaged, but none of the actual card's materials are damaged at all. And I think it might be one of those situations where it was just put into the sleeve. And then, you know, when you sleeve cards, when you get really close and look at them closely, you can see where some of that sleeving leaves scratches and things of that nature. And the scratches aren't even like really scratches, and that's kind of what it looks like here. It almost looks like it could be a hair stuck to the card, but it's so hair thin. We're gonna keep doing the surface here. When we get to that section, we will take a look at that. So we are going into the surface of the card, and while this card doesn't have any damage, when we do find damage, we actually have a scale here at Excalibur that we measure we measure the damage in millimeters, and depending on how severe that damage is, that was a little hair right there on the K. Depending on how severe that damage is how the grade on surface is affected. So I don't think that that'll be an issue with this card, as there doesn't really seem to be any damage. And we're also looking at the individual cells. Like, you can see them more clearly now here on the back of the card, but we're also examining the individual cells of this Pokemon card to see if there's anything wrong, misprints, ink-wise, or, you know, things of that nature. So it's important to do a thorough examination. Card grading is a luxury service. It's not something, like, nobody needs to have their cards graded. But if you're going to have your cards graded because of the market, and you do treat this in some ways as a collection, or you really just value for your own personal collection, you want your cards to be in the best condition possible. You want to know exactly what the condition of those cards in. Get them graded, but just make sure that you're going with someone or a company that you know is going to value your possessions as much as you do, because some of these cards are incredibly expensive, one, but the sentimental value behind them as well is not something that can easily be replaced. Like when you hit a card that you've been chasing for a long time, that card means something to you, especially if it's a Pokemon that you love. So if you're gonna grade, you should be getting a premier service, not all the frills, none of the bullshit. And that's the kind of service that we aim to provide here at Excalibur. So again, we're almost done with the back surface of the card. I'm so sorry for chatting and getting a little distracted here. We are moving right along. And again, I can't see any damage here on the card from the microscope view. And we are down here at the bottom of the card. Borders look immaculate. There is like nothing nothing wrong with the surface of this card. So now the last thing that we need to, I mean, again, I think that you can't even see it from the microscope, and that's how it is with this particular thing that I'm looking. Like, you can't even see it from the microscope, but somewhere right around here there's almost like a, I would personally call this, and you can't even see what I'm talking about, so I seem crazy to you, but I would personally call this like a sleeve scratch. But if you can't even see the card material being removed on the microscope, then I wouldn't classify it as something that's actual damage. So lastly, what we do is we are going to so that's a 10 in surface, and now we are going to check the edges. And the first thing I like to use is my black light, because that'll immediately alert me if anything, any area is particularly bad. And this card is, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say those things. This is a good boys channel. I'm gonna try and keep that under wraps. I apologize. I'll probably censor that when I upload this to YouTube. But using my black light, I can't see any damage that sticks out on the edges of the card. And we're just gonna go along the border here and examine this. This thing is gonna be a 10. This is gonna be a prismatic 10. The card it's perfect. It's there's no damage. The borders, and there's not even, for a prismatic 10, you need to have perfect borders, perfect centering on the front, and you're allowed half of a millimeter of difference in borders on the back. And this card has perfectly equal borders the entire way through, and that's just unheard of. So this card is, like I said, chef kiss. Shuckle really showing out right now as the first ever prismatic 10 grade we will ever give on the Excalibur Grading Company channel. And as you can see, we're just examining, and you can see that right there, that's not actually whitening. I'll point to it a little bit. I like to point things out as we're grading, so people, you see this? That's not actually on the edge of the card. And you see how I just removed it. That's something I like to call those grading hairs sometimes. Not grading hairs, but cutting hairs. When the machine cuts these Pokemon cards, especially in English, sometimes there's just some residual cardstock hairs from the cutting. Maybe the shears aren't really as sharp as they should be, and you get things like that from time to time that hang off the card. So see, I wouldn't even really I don't, yeah, this card is perfect. And you can see there are tiny beginnings of what could possibly be whitening right there at the tip, and maybe even impossibly tiny of what could be whitening there as well. But I don't personally think that it is that serious. Not even that serious. I don't think that that's actually whitening that I would classify as damage. It's really the beginnings of what could possibly be if the card wasn't taken care of the way it needs to be. But this card, perfect. Honestly, you guys have seen it up close with me, and we can zoom this out so you can just get a much better look at the card overall. This card really is just, for all intents and purposes, perfect card. Perfect card. It's so good. So, going top to bottom. Shuckle, Mega Evolutions, 136, 132. Graded perfectly. Prismatic 10 card. This is a perfect example of what that should look like. So now that that is done, we need to make the label, and we need to make the label for it and then begin the slabbing process. So I need to pause this video. I need to pause this recording right here, so I only have one computer. I need to pause this recording. I need to print out the label for this, and then we will slab this together. But first, we are going to put this in a penny sleeve, and these are the penny sleeves that we use before we slab the card. They are the perfect fit sleeves. And first, we blow the card with a little compressed air. Make sure that there is nothing on it. And then we are going to gently sleeve that. Leave that there. I will be back. Gentlemen, stay right here while I print this label. Thank you. Okay, so we have the slab tags printing right now. You can hear it in the printer. I'm going to set up the workstation. Now I'm going to turn off the digital microscope. I'm going to use these lights as a station, and you can see here that I have the paper towel. It's just a safe place to store, safe place to just do the entire process. And I have the unopened slab here. So we are going to open that up very carefully. Set that right there. Set that right there. And excuse me real quick while I cut these slab tags. I probably should have done this off before I turn the feed back on, but it's all good. Just bear with me one moment here, guys. I like to make sure that these are cut very equally. Want to make sure that everything looks good in the slab. So you can probably hear it, but I'm just cutting. Got a little trash bag right down here. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video so far. I enjoy Pokemon. A little bit about myself. I've always enjoyed Pokemon. I collected the cards when I was in school. Oh shoot. We messed up. We did not put the new barcode over the old one. Hold on. That's my fault. I need to reprint these now. I need to reprint the slab tags because I messed up. It's no one's fault but my own. I'm such an idiot. Okay, so now we are going to reprint those because I just messed that up. And this paper is not cheap to print either. I can't really I can't keep doing this. Sorry guys. So just bear with me real quick for a second while I reprint this. Hi, yeah. Okay. Those are reprinting, so sorry about that. I've always loved Pokemon. I've recently gotten back into it because I have a 9-year-old daughter, and we've been collecting Pokemon cards together. It's been a lot of fun. And since we've started, we've noticed the issues with the grading companies, especially. Please submit again. And I always thought to myself, this can't be like PSA is the standard, and they really should not be, because they do in my opinion, really awful job grading. I'm not the only one who feels that way, but because I have a background in science, and this is something that I think should be a science, grading is not something that should have any guesswork. I said, you know what? I can do a better job than this. I can bring my science background into the world of grading. Not to say that there are other companies like Tag who also do a very good job at doing science-based grading. I love their reports. But I think that really what's missing the most is the transparency aspect of hand grading. Well, I think that computers can do a great job. I think that sometimes ultimately what you need is a physical eye on these things. So that's why I'm here with Excalibur. Please excuse my Uz. I am just now going to cut I am cutting the slab tag. Just give me just a moment. Like I said, I like to make sure that I'm doing a great job cutting. What I need to get is a really accurate paper cutter. If anybody has any recommendations for one of those, please link it in the comment section. Actually, just type the product in the comment section that you think would be good. And we are almost done with the front tag. Boom. Got that out. Leave that there. And now we are going to cut out the bottom section. And I have to say, I don't think I did I need to go back and check the border lines for slab cover, because there's supposed to be black lines that I printed out on this to help me cut accurately, but I don't see them all the way on this one, and I think that's because I forgot to put them there. That's my fault, but I am not trying to waste any more photo paper, so we are going to do our very best right here to be accurate with these cuts. Man, that is hard to see. So we're trying to do our best to be accurate. I definitely jacked up and not putting these lines on here, and it's coming back to bite me in the keister, but I think this time we may have just made it through. We may have just squeaked through. So let's finish up this slabbing process. So first thing that we do, put that there. We need to glue these parts of the label together, because the glue, the printing that I do, I have not figured out. Photo paper is not double-sided, it is single-sided. So we just do 2 lines right there, easy, simple. And then we make sure that that is lined up on the bottom. Yep, top oriented. Take this, and we are just going to press that right ever so perfectly evenly. There we have it. Label intact. So now that that's done, we are going to, whenever I work with glue, I like to change my gloves before I touch cards again, because you never know if there could ever be a little bit of residual glue on your glove. We don't want to mess up the slab at all, so we are going to change these gloves. Hands are just a little bit sweaty, excuse me. So card here, slab tag there, and what we're going to do is we are going to gently, first, let's blow any dust. Oh, I know we just cracked that, but we just don't want there to be any sort of dust. Open that up extremely carefully, and we are going to first, we are going to sit a slab tag in there nice and neatly, and then we are going to place our card ever so lovingly in the center there. And then, ooh, let me do that. So now what we are going to do is we are going to take our UV glue and we are going to put it, oops, in the corners of the slab tag here, of the tag here. Put that right in there. Then we're going to do another layer right in there. And then we are just going to ever so carefully slip that right on top. Uh-oh. Looks like our label, it's too late to open it now too. Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay. We were able to save it just a little bit. Just a little bit. We were able to save it. The tag was moving around in there a little bit. It wasn't perfectly centered, but we managed to fix it just a little bit. I didn't want to reopen this. So with the UV glue, you need to use this UV light to seal the card. And that is what we're doing right here. We are using that UV glue to seal the edges of this card here. And it says that it cures in about 10 seconds with the UV light. I like to give it maybe, 20 seconds back and forth. Let me turn off these lights. So sorry about that. So let's go back to curing this. And like I said, I appreciate you guys joining me on this grading journey. I really enjoy the artwork of Pokemon cards. They look great. I love doing it with my daughter. And if I can provide my expertise in my scientific eye to grading, even in a fun capacity, make YouTube videos while I do it, I think that it's something that I would continue to do. If you guys want to... Wow. It's never happened before. Kind of slipped outside of the case, but it looks like, I don't know about this one, boys. I think I need to make sure that when I slab these cards, they are really in here a little bit better. So let's just try not to shake these up too much. But Yeah, this is done. Prismatic 10 Shuckle. Beautiful card. Slabbed, ready to go. If you guys would like to possibly win this in a giveaway, follow our channel here on YouTube. We're going to try and upload a grading examination at least once a day, but I will probably grade more than just once a day. But this is a good pace to start off with. I'll let you guys know when I am open and available to start grading other cards, but right now I just really want to focus on getting a good rhythm doing that and making sure that I'm comfortable applying my grading methods to other people's cards before I start doing other cards. So yet again, Mega Evolutions Illustration Rare Shuckle. Beautiful, beautiful condition, Prismatic 10. I hope that you guys like the slab tag too. You can see the Excalibur is there in white behind. And we've got a nice little fancy low-key rainbow white tag there with the information. So give us a like, give us a follow, share us with your friends if you like looking at Pokemon cards up close. I will catch you guys on the next examination. Take care and bye-bye.